Beneath the Turkana Rift in Kenya and Ethiopia, a massive geological shift is currently underway. Scientists have known for decades that Africa is slowly splitting apart. But new geological analysis reveals the crust is already far thinner, and the continent is much closer to breaking point than we thought. To understand the mechanics of this split and why it is happening right now, we first have to understand how our continents are structured and how they move. Under normal conditions, we perceive the ground beneath our feet as entirely static, but the Earth's outer shell, known as the lithosphere, is actually broken into massive, interlocking sections called tectonic plates. These plates are not anchored in place. Instead, they float on top of the asthenosphere, a thick layer of semi-molten rock in the upper mantle. Deep inside the planet, the Earth's core generates immense heat, reaching temperatures as hot as the surface of the Sun. This heat radiates outward, warming the solid rock of the mantle and causing it to slowly rise towards the crust. As it cools near the surface, it sinks back down. This continuous cycle creates massive convection currents. These currents grip the rough underside of the tectonic plates, acting like a slow-moving conveyor belt that physically drags the continents across the surface of the globe. Around 250 million years ago, this mantle convection pushed all of the Earth's landmasses together into a single supercontinent known as Pangaea. Over tens of millions of years, the continued circulation of heat and magma beneath the surface created immense stress on this supercontinent. The crust eventually fractured, sending the individual tectonic plates drifting away from each other. We can see the physical evidence of this past movement clearly. If you look at a map of the world, the eastern coastline of South America and the western coastline of Africa fit together perfectly. Roughly 138 million years ago, a massive rift opened up right between them. As the two land masses pulled apart, the ground in the center collapsed. Magma rose to fill the gap, cooling to form a new seafloor, and ocean water flooded in, creating the Atlantic Ocean. Plate tectonics is a continuous, ongoing cycle. Today, the exact same process that formed the Atlantic Ocean is currently happening on the eastern side of the African continent. Stretching for nearly 4,000 miles from the Red Sea down through Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and into Mozambique lies the East African Rift System. For decades, geologists have monitored this extensive fault line, noting a slow and steady separation. But recent data indicates that a specific section of this rift has reached a highly advanced stage of separation. The driving force behind this continental split is a geological feature known as the African Superplume. This is a massive upwelling of abnormally hot rock rising straight up from the boundary where the Earth's core meets the mantle. While scientists are still studying the exact deep Earth mechanics, evidence strongly suggests this superplume pushes upward, concentrating intense heat on the underside of the African tectonic plate. This heat softens the thick continental crust, forcing it to expand and bulge upward. The African plate is actively snapping under this pressure, dividing into two distinct sections: the larger Nubian plate carrying the western side of the continent, and the smaller Somali plate carrying the eastern horn. To measure exactly what is happening underground, researchers from Columbia University focused their attention on a 300-mile-wide section known as the Turkana Rift, bridging the border of Kenya and Ethiopia. To see below the surface, the research team utilized low-frequency acoustic waves. By sending sound waves deep into the Earth and precisely timing how long it takes for the signals to bounce back from different subterranean rock layers, scientists can build a highly detailed, three-dimensional map of the crust. Different rock densities reflect sound at different speeds, allowing researchers to see exactly where the solid granite ends and the softer, heated rock begins. The acoustic data revealed that the crust beneath the Turkana Rift is currently undergoing a structural process called necking. When a solid material is heated and pulled from opposite ends, the center stretches and thins out before it finally breaks. The continental crust in East Africa is exhibiting this exact behavior. Outside of the active rift zone, the African crust is a dense block of rock more than 21 miles thick. But directly in the center of the Turkana Rift, the crust has been stretched so heavily that it has thinned out to just 8 miles thick. This severe thinning indicates that the region has moved past the initial stages of surface faulting and is now fully primed for continental breakup. The researchers noted that this is the only active rift on Earth currently in this highly advanced necking phase. The plates in this specific zone are pulling away from each other at a rate of about 1/5 of an inch per year. The acoustic mapping suggests this specific period of intense thinning began roughly 4 million years ago. As the superplume heated the crust, it triggered widespread, continuous volcanic eruptions across the region. The landscape fractured, creating deep, steep-walled valleys known as rift basins. The physical changes to the landscape also altered the local climate. As the edges of the rift bulged upward, they formed high mountain ridges. These ridges blocked moisture coming from the Indian Ocean, drying out the landscape and transforming dense forests into the open savannas we associate with East Africa today. These newly formed geological basins and the changing environment had a highly significant side effect on the fossil record. As the valleys opened up, they functioned as massive funnels, rapidly collecting fine-grained sediments washed down by rivers, seasonal flooding, and frequent volcanic ash falls. When early animals and human ancestors died in these rift valleys, they were quickly buried by these accumulating sediments. This rapid burial locked out oxygen and prevented normal decomposition, creating the perfect conditions for fossilization over millions of years. Over the past several decades, paleontologists have uncovered thousands of hominin fossils within this specific rift zone. This includes the famous discovery of Turkana Boy, a 1.6 million year old skeleton of a Homo erectus. It remains the most complete specimen of an early human ancestor ever found in the world. The geological instability that is currently tearing the continent apart is the exact mechanism that preserved the most detailed record of human evolution on the planet. The landscape today still clearly reflects this ongoing subterranean activity. In regions like the Danakil Depression in northern Ethiopia, you can see what the crust looks like when it is stretched to the absolute limit. The Danakil Depression sits over 400 feet below sea level. Because the continental crust here has thinned out so drastically, magma churns just barely below the surface. The area is dotted with active shield volcanoes, boiling hot springs, and expansive salt flats left behind by ancient sea floods. Toxic sulfur gases vent directly from the fractured ground, creating neon green and yellow acid pools. It is one of the hottest and most geologically active places on Earth, providing a direct window into the sheer thermal output driving the rift. If the current geological models hold, the crust in the Turkana Rift will continue to stretch and thin until it reaches the point of total structural failure. Once the land drops below sea level, gravity will take over. The waters of the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean will flood the newly formed basin. This massive influx of water will completely sever the Somali plate from the rest of the continent. Somalia, along with sections of Kenya, Ethiopia, and Tanzania, will become an isolated, massive island continent in the Indian Ocean, separated from the Nubian plate by a deep, newly formed marine basin. The ocean currents will shift, global weather patterns will adapt to the new coastline, and the map of the Earth will be rewritten. But a new ocean does not form overnight. While this necking phase is highly advanced in geological terms, the Earth operates on a massive timescale. Researchers estimate it will take another 5 to 10 million years for the crust to reach its ultimate breaking point, allowing the waters of the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean to finally rush in. Continental drift is a slow, methodical process, but it is a massive transfer of thermal energy that continuously reshapes the surface of our planet. Based on the subsurface acoustic data we're seeing today, the physical mechanisms required to form a new ocean are already firmly in place beneath East Africa. Makes you wonder if humanity will even be around to sail it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Territory, because this is your space.